The word Absolute is taking over the DC multiverse. With the launch of the Dynamite Absolute Ben 10 comic, fans were promised a grounded, reimagined take on the hero we grew up with. But while the official series is just getting started, the Ben 10 community has already created something darker, something more primal. Before the official comics even hit the shelves, creators Danboy Wonder and Duck have been building a separate Absolute Fanverse that redefines what the Omnitrix actually is. So what does Absolute actually mean? In the world of DC and Dynamite, the Absolute universe is about stripping characters to their core, removing the safety nets of their original stories to see how they survive in a harsher world. In the Danboy Wonder Absolute universe, that concept is taken to a biological extreme, and his safety net was Grandpa Max. This isn't just Ben with a new art style. This is a universe where the Omnitrix is a volatile, elemental force. The transformations are unrefined variation of ultimate evolutionary DNA. They are mutations. The lore here suggests that every time Ben turns into an alien, he is tapping into a version of that species that is more absolute than we've ever seen in the classic series. Today, we aren't just looking at fan art, we are analyzing the most detailed reconstruction of the Ben 10 mythos ever attempted, the Absolute Danverse. Let's begin with the pure physical transformations, starting with Absolute Wildmutt. Duck completely re-engineers the Volpimancer from an agile alien pet into a low-slung apex predator. Notice the constantly salivating jaw with an underbite that screams unhinged wild animal aggression, which looks even better than the ultimate Wildmutt. But look at the heavy, exaggerated shoulder musculature and the raw, unrefined bone spikes bursting through the fur line. He can also shoot them as kinetic projectiles, heavily inspired by the ultimate Humongosaur and his bone cannon. If you want absolute proof that this universe treats transformations like a physical curse, look at Absolute 4 arms. Duck gives him jagged obsidian-like armor plates over his traps and shoulders, tattoos inspired from the warrior aesthetic of forearms from Gen Rex crossover. But here is the hidden detail everyone missed. Look right next to the design. Duck literally gave him a nuclear heart, which boosts his brute strength. His heart also produces so much heat, his skin and tattoos begin to glow just like Red Hulk. Think about the sheer physics of this. To pump blood to 4 hypermassive, mountain-shattering arms simultaneously, a heart would have to beat at a catastrophic rate. The watch forces his cardiovascular system to pump blood, oxygen, and adrenaline at a relentless, superhuman velocity. This allows him to strike without any limitations holding his muscles back. He isn't just strong, he is a living engine running on pure, maximized overdrive. This biological realism carries right into Absolute Ripjaws. Instead of a sleek fish man, this is a deep-sea horror. The terrestrial form features pale, ghost-white scaly skin with massive, clawed hands. But look at his underwater shift. His lower half fuses into a streamlined, hydrodynamic tail glowing with radioactive bioluminescent green tracking stripes. Combined with the needle-sharp overlapping rows of teeth, this design makes it clear that Ripjaws isn't a superhero. He's an unfeeling predator specialized for cold, high-pressure execution. Next, let's break down the kinetic specialists, beginning with Absolute Heat Blast. Duck completely ditches the classic orange magma. Instead, this Pyranite is made of dense, charcoal black obsidian plating held together by a blinding, volatile cerulean blue flame. In thermodynamics, blue fire represents complete hyper-efficient combustion, reaching devastating temperatures up to 1600 degrees Celsius. Notice the floating, disconnected rock shards drifting near his head. The heat output is so intensely pressurized that the alien's own rocky epidermis is constantly fracturing and melting away. Without Grandpa Max around to teach him collateral damage control, Ben transforming into Heat Blast is a literal walking natural disaster. To counter that heavy destruction, look at the surgical precision of Absolute XLR8. This design is beautifully sleek, casting a heavy shadow over his face with a pointed blade-like helmet and a glowing green visor slit. And his thighs are thick as hell, which makes sense because his powers depends on his legs, also helps him giving powerful kicks. I also like the blue speed force effects whenever he runs in the comics, but I think the wheels are too big. Anyway, it's the least favorite design, because there's not much change. It feels like his normal form. And blocking the path is Absolute Diamondhead. In our Ben XM video, we talked about a medieval Paladin aesthetic, and Duck delivers that flawlessly here. This Petrosapien wears a dark, flexible tactical undersuit beneath heavy, jagged crystalline armor. But the best part, they gave him the crystal shards on his chest similar to Alien Force design. You can also see his shoulders are also spiky, which looks so cool. He can also shapeshift here, like he can transform his brutalist pillar-type legs into headers, and many more. Now we enter the darkest territory of the vault, the psychological horrors. Let's start with absolute gray matter. Instead of a cute, pint-sized frog alien, Duck gives us a highly unsettling biomechanical anomaly. He possesses cold, unblinking yellow slit eyes and a severe, elongated chin structure. Antennae that can read radio waves like police comms. But look at his hands. His fingers are stretched out into long, needle-like neural conduits ending in glowing green nodes. This visual storytelling is genius. It tells us that this gray matter doesn't just think fast. He physically plugs his own nervous system directly into organic creatures to hijack it, read their mind. That body horror theme explodes with Absolute Stinkfly. Duck completely discards the classic cartoon design for a jagged insectoid nightmare. His wings look like razor-sharp translucent geometric glass panes. Most terrifyingly, look closely at his upper limbs. Instead of standard hands or clawed fingers, Duck arms him with hyperextended, jagged raptorial front claws like a praying mantis, designed purely for close quarters tearing and execution. But the ultimate body horror detail is what Duck did to his lower body. He completely stripped away Stinkfly's legs. In their place, he embedded 4 massive, unblinking compound eyes directly into the lower insectoid chassis. Think about the sheer visual mechanics here. By trading his legs for extra eyes, this absolute form gains a flawless 360-degree aerial radar field of vision. He can now fire corrosive venom from his throat or inject it via his stinger. But nothing prepares you for the ultimate containment failure, Absolute Ghostfreak. Look at the structural visual storytelling here. Duck doesn't just give him a white shroud. His entire ghostly form is bound, tied, and completely restricted by glowing, translucent ectoplasmic chains. The watch is actively screaming at Ben that this DNA is a threat. A single piercing purple eye stares out from a jagged, violent tear in the fabric, hinting at the monster clawing to get out. And when those chains break, you get Zs'Skayr. This is easily the most malevolent design in the entire fan project. Duck reverses the anatomy entirely, giving him a hollowed out chest cavity lined with jagged rib bone jaws and long clawed limbs covered in thorn-like spikes. It perfectly mirrors the pitch black stakes of our Ben XM analysis. The Omnitrix isn't just a gadget here, it's a cage holding back a cosmic demon that wants Ben's mind dead. Which brings us straight to the ultimate powerhouse of this universe's late-game lineup, Absolute Feedback. Forget the sleek, cat-like agile design from Omniverse. Duck transforms Feedback into a heavyweight industrial brawler. Look at those colossally overscaled forearms and massive hands. The plug nodes on his shoulders, elbows, and tail don't look like flexible rubber cords anymore. They look like heavy-duty industrial capacitor banks overflowing with high-voltage, light cyan neon energy. With his single green eye buried under a heavy lowered brow line and that sharp, sinister grin, this form looks downright unhinged. When he unleashes his power, look at the action pose. He clamps his massive forearms together to create a literal structural containment matrix. The energy arcs form a physical grid pattern, proving that the untamed voltage is so violently explosive that he has to manually lock his arms into a railgun configuration just to prevent the blast from tearing his own biological framework apart. Now let's talk about the Omnitrix. Have you wondered why do these aliens look so monstrously mutated? It all comes down to the watch. In this timeline, Ben doesn't get the bulky classic prototype. He gets a weaponized Gauntlet. It heavily mirrors the Ultimatrix, but it's actually shorter and more compact on his wrist. Look at the dial. It's stark white and plain, just like the Omniverse watch. But running down the sides of the casing are deeply indented, glowing green power lines. Taking this inspiration from Ultimatrix was truly genius. This isn't a tool for peace, because this unthrottled war machine overclocks Ben's DNA, forcing his transformations into these battle-hardened, ultimate-style weapons with no safety limits. It's sleek, it's terrifying, and in a world without Grandpa Max, it's the only thing keeping him alive. When you look at this entire official lineup collectively, the conclusion is undeniable. While the official 2026 Dynamite comic series is fantastic for introducing a darker tint to the classic timeline, corporate comics are always handcuffed by commercial merch guidelines. Independent creators like Danboy Wonder and Duck's art don't answer to corporate boards. They can lean fully into the raw, terrifying body horror of a grieving 15-year-old trying to survive a hostile universe. By turning every single transformation into a high-stakes biological sacrifice, from forearms pounding heart to Ghostfreak's literal chains, they have crafted a masterclass in visual storytelling. But I want to hear from you, now that you've seen the complete official design sheets. Which Absolute transformation is your definitive favorite? Are you rocking with the Blue Flame Obsidian Heat Blast, or does the heavyweight railgun power of Absolute Feedback take the crown? Drop your theories in the comments below, lock in your subscription to keep our investigative journal alive, and I will see you in the next corner of the geek multiverse.